Hi, my name is Ben Wynn. I'm a Year 6 teacher at St Anthony's Primary School in Wanneroo in Western Australia. This is my fourth video blog on my class's journey to create video games and enter them into the Australian STEM Video Game Challenge. If you haven't seen the previous videos, have a look on the teacher website in the video archives so to get a little bit of background on the Australian STEM Video Game Challenge. So I'm checking in now just after the school holidays. There were a couple of my groups who did some work on the school holidays, which was a pleasant surprise because generally kids tend to switch off and are not that keen to do schoolwork. So it was really great to see a couple of my groups did do some work. The rest of them didn't do any work on the holidays, but they're back into the swing of things right now. So where we're up to right now, they're making their video games. And one of the things that I'm really focusing on is at the start of each session, the students have to goal set. They have to write down each child's name who's in their group and exactly what they're aiming to achieve in this session. In this way, they're staying focused, they're staying on task, and they're actually making sure to achieve things. When I first asked them to write down what everyone's going to do, the students generally write things like Johnny is going to code and Billy is going to draw some character art or something like that. But I really insist that they write down to a more specific degree exactly what they want to achieve in the next hour in the next session. And then at the end of the session, we take 5 minutes and the students have to write down what they actually did achieve and if they need to do anything before the next week or before the next session. And by doing it that way, I'm hoping to keep them on track, and they do tend to be on track, and they continue to make forward progress. I guess at this part of the journey, students are starting to achieve, or are starting to encounter difficulties where they want to do something in their game but they don't know how to make it work, or something they think should be working isn't working. So this is where we have to go back and look through the code and problem solve, and this can be where they start to get discouraged. So I try and give them a little bit of help with that, a little bit of guidance in how to go back and try and troubleshoot. And the beauty of coding is that it's quite logical. If something's not working, you can generally go back and troubleshoot. And at this point, they don't have like huge amounts of code to go through, so we're normally able to pinpoint where the error is and fix it. I'm encouraging the students to share their discoveries with each other. So if they've encountered a problem and then someone else has a similar problem, then they're going and talking about it and saying, hey, look, I did this, what about that? So it's really great for collaborative work. I guess the other part of it that I'm focusing on with them is to remind them about how video game logic works. In a similar way to if they're writing a report, they have to assume their reader doesn't know anything about the topic of their report, so they would introduce it clearly and explain the different aspects of whatever they're doing a report on. I'm making sure they create their video games in the same way, assuming that their player has no background in video games, doesn't know how to play, so we're starting our video games off really simply and basic so that the player knows exactly what to do at every step of the way. And in order to make sure that that's happening, I'm encouraging the students to play test each other's games and to give some constructive criticism to each other. And I'm walking around and saying, hey, show me that bit. Why does your character have to do that? If they say, I don't know, then I encourage them to rethink and come up with a reason within the logic of their game so that it actually makes sense, so they're not just chucking things in there for no reason, or having the player do things that don't make sense just because it looks cool. We're trying to make sure that the video game has a good narrative flow. Because I feel like for my Year 6s, that's probably where their biggest strength is, and where they're going to be able to do the best is making sure that they're engaging their player through the narrative of their game, because it's really, really hard to come up with something that's like a really innovative gameplay mechanic. So we're focusing on where our strengths are. All right, well, that's probably all I've got time for today. If you want to check out any of the previous videos, check on the teacher video archive, and there'll be another video up in a few weeks. Thank you.